Just use your eyes. Graves is almost dead and is out of the fight. Now you're isolated against Kha'Zix and Kassadin, two of the most heavy burst champions in the game. Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Learn Together. I am your coach Kingmaker, and today we have cozy evenings on Irelia in the mid lane versus Kassadin. The early game should be pretty heavy in our favor, so I'm expecting Kassadin to play safely until level 5 when he can start to play a bit more aggressive and look for plays across the map. What we need to be doing is working on our zone control and not allowing Kassadin to get any free gold. I love getting to watch Irelia games. I myself am a Mastery level 6 Irelia. She's a fun but challenging champion to pilot. If anyone's ever seen my videos, this ward is an okay ward because it can potentially spot out the enemy jungler when they go for Scuttle Crab. However, I would like to see you throw it over the blue side wall if you're going to start with a ward on this side of the map.
Будет забавно посмотреть на танец глухаря.
So far, our body language has been off. We're letting Kassadin set the pace of this lane, and he really should not be. Don't be afraid to trade onto him. He cannot out-sustain our early damage. This was a great trade, however I would have held on to Ignite until we had him at a bit lower of HP and then looked for an all-in. He's being super aggressive and disrespectful, so we should look to punish him for it. Very good job with picking up the kill, and awesome display of knowledge to push the wave in. However, we don't need to run so far to go back to base. This should be far enough. Every second counts. Normally we should not be auto-attacking here, but in this situation it's good because Kassadin is missing, and by us pushing the minions into his tower, it forces him to come back to lane and prevents his strength, which is roaming. I'm not sure if we have any item components at this point, but if we do, now is a great time to go back to base. We can't do much as the minions crash into the tower. In this situation, I'm not letting the minions come back to the tower because this will give Kassadin a chance to roam or recall for free. Instead, we should keep the pressure up by killing these minions fast. This roam is a huge mistake. Just take a look at the minimap. On our side, Samira and Rakan are both dead, so that just leaves us and Graves. On their team, they have Kassadin flanking as well as Kha'Zix sitting in a bush on Vision, Thresh, and Samira. So we opt into a 2v3, which turns into a 2v4, and we get annihilated. Contrary to popular belief, Irelia is not a 1v5 champion. She is an assassin who has to wait for the enemies to blow their cooldowns before entering the fight. We should have instead went back to base when we had the opportunity to. I often tell people to turn off notifications on their phone because it's a huge distraction. Same thing goes in this case. We waste 12 seconds after killing the last minion to make a decision on what to do. Wild Rift is a game of attrition and tempo. Time is a valuable resource that we are wasting when we need to make a decision and stick to it, right or wrong. In this situation, we either go back to base where we play forward and follow Kassadin. Either way, we should be pinging that the enemy is missing in action, especially since Samira is pushed so far forward by herself. Look at the state of the game. Rift Herald is dead, and according to our mini-map, our lane is pushed, so we can't do anything mid. The only options are to rotate top and collapse, or go back to base and purchase. Personally, if it were me in that situation, I would go back to base and purchase. Again, we waste another 12 seconds before we make a decision to go back to base and purchase items, and then we end up not going back to base and buying. You have to choose a plan and stick to it. Anything else is a waste of time. If we're roaming, we need to pop the Scryer's Bloom on the way down. It takes an extra second to do, but it will show us if there is vision and will allow us to clear it on the way down. After we missed our ultimate, we should have backed off on this engagement, and it's not guaranteed, but I'm 90% sure that this death doesn't happen if we flash into tower. We just did nothing for 25 seconds. The enemy bot lane was dead. Kassadin cannot defend in a 3v1, so instead we should have just pushed mid lane and taken half the turret's HP. Just use your eyes. Graves is almost dead and is out of the fight. Now you're isolated against Kha'Zix and Kassadin, two of the most heavy burst champions in the game. We've seen this multiple times that you engage into these uneven team fights and lose. Instead, we should have backed off and cleared the mid lane and waited for Graves to come back onto the map for an objective. Our team manages to pull off a pretty big upset, cleaning up and acing the opponent's map state. Says we should be looking at an objective because we can no longer push mid lane. The only objective up is Rift Herald, so we should head there. Why are we this far back? What are we doing? By playing back here, we concede all vision and any threat that we had at holding the mid lane turret. We should still be playing at the mid lane turret, and if we're not, we should be looking for vision on the enemy in the topside river. We have to address this. The dragon is spawning in 8 seconds. Fizz is here while Teemo is in top lane. This means we have the numbers advantage on the enemy team. There isn't a single ping from anybody to go anywhere near this dragon. We should take this fight, we will win this fight, but we sit in mid and do nothing. This is a reoccurring theme that I keep seeing from you. This was a great fight from your team, and I understand the pressure to do something, but again, Irelia is not an engagement champion. We should have waited until Rakan engaged and blew the enemy's cooldowns before we went in and just died. We're already pretty deep into the enemy jungle here, and on the mini-map we see Graves and Rakan roaming up to top lane. At this point we should be looking to proxy this wave behind Teemo, and this would allow our minions to push to tower, and then we can dive Teemo for a free kill. This is too late of a recall in my opinion. You should have stopped jungling immediately. By the time you get to base, they will have destroyed a tower and a half. What are we doing right now? We are sieging mid lane turret. What is our team composition? We have Samira, Rakan, Graves, Fizz, and Irelia. None of those are long-range champions, so sieging is not in our wheelhouse, really. What we need to be doing is focusing on team fights around objectives. We are behind in experience and gold. We should have been the ones, not Fizz, who answered the bottom lane that is pushing into our team.
Вражеская башня уничтожена. Враг атакует башню на верхней линии. Союзник убит.
Most of the time when you're playing Irelia, we shouldn't be looking to be in mid lane after laning phase. The reason being we are potentially a powerhouse that can 1v2, so we should be in a side lane split pushing. We end up taking this extremely long path through the enemy jungle. Our call should have been to look at the minimap after bottom lane T3 turret died, and we would have saw Samira pushing. This means we walk straight to mid lane and take that turret as well. This is a point where most teams make a fatal mistake and they overstay, thinking they can either end the game or gain something further. The call at this point should be to return to base and move to Baron as the minions crash into the enemy base. We are still here. Yes, we managed to break the turret, but why extend this game when it's already over? Baron and then kill the Nexus. I'm confused as to why we're just farming the enemy jungle. You have to be the one to realize the play and use your pings to get your team to realize it too. Ping Baron over and over, and if they still don't listen, stand there and ping some more. Yes, we died, but I think this was the correct call to engage this fight, especially with Samira being alone. We just got severely outplayed. This was such a random win thanks to minions, because we should have ended this 5 minutes ago after we broke their third T3 turret by taking Baron and fighting at the Nexus.